We's back at it.
What was that?
We's back at it.
Now am I too far?
What do you mean too far?
There we go.
I think we're fine. I'm hot as hell.
It's hot in here.
Girl, the heat's on the same. It's always been, though.
It's hot in here. Well, it's warmer outside.
Was I wearing jeans last time?
You're always wearing jeans, but no, you weren't.
It's hot. I need a fan. My God, should I crack a window?
No.
Okay.
Hey, y'all.
Hey.
Welcome back.
How y'all doing?
Thirsty Thursday, y'all.
I'm always thirsty. It could be a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday.
Fucking Friday.
It could be, I was going to say, it could be during work, but I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Not incriminating yourself.
Oh, goodness. Hi. Wow. Still adjusting to seeing ourselves.
I know. I have to stop looking at myself.
I know you do.
It's vanity.
Yeah. It's hard, though. It's like, when you're in like a FaceTime and... Jesus Christ. Anyway, it's like when you're in a FaceTime and you're not staring at anything except for you.
I hate FaceTime. I tell you this.
Or like a Zoom, anything like that. I'm always... It looks like I'm looking at the screen, but I'm looking at myself.
Same all the time.
Yeah.
If you want the most productive version of Kaylee, give her a phone call.
You think?
I'm like a pacer. I like to talk on the phone.
True, I get that.
In person.
Yeah.
In person or a phone call, I just feel like on Google Meet or on Zoom or on FaceTime, I'm distracted by either looking at myself or concerned about what my face is going to look like when I'm like looking at the document or like pulling up a spreadsheet and I'm not seeing my reaction.
Oh, see, that I don't care about. Mine more is like I always have resting bitch face.
Bitch, we know.
And it's like bad.
I know.
So I have to constantly just like make sure I'm like slightly smiling.
Like in the movie Smile, you're like...
Okay, I'm not creepy like that,
well,
but... Don't be rude. Anything exciting happening in your boring ass life?
Bitch, my life ain't boring. Anything happening? Good week. Very good week. Okay. Had a great weekend. Had 2 holiday parties.
Oh, she's festive.
Kaylee's being an extrovert nowadays.
She's festive. We talked about it.
Taking off those leggings and putting on real girl clothes. I wore high heels.
Girl. And tights. I'd never seen you in tights before, I don't think.
My legs wouldn't have been in them before. They'd be suffocating.
Jesus. Okay, you had 2 parties.
I had 2 parties.
All right. Any good stuff?
Great stuff. We did superlatives on one of the parties.
Okay.
I was going to say, what do you think I won? But I told you.
Yeah.
So I think there was like 3 or 4.
I don't know what the other 2 were, though.
I told you the other 2. I won. Oh, God.
Not her already forgetting, y'all.
Most likely to come up with 4 solutions to a problem.
4?
I'm solution-based.
Okay. At work, maybe.
Bitch.
Keep going.
Most likely to... I forget the second one. I wrote it down.
While you're looking these up,
I
feel like I could give you so many of most likely to.
Bitch.
Okay, get back to it. Most
likely to help in a bind. Something like that. And then most likely to leave your house early and still show up late.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is, listen, it's true.
Although I don't really know you to leave early ever.
No, I do though. Because where this party was, where I've had to go there for work meetings, it's in the general vicinity of some of like the weddings or assisting weddings that I've gone to. And I swear, I leave goddamn early, but I got to go over the mountain. Got to go through New Paltz. Got to go 9W. The bridge, a lot of traffic area.
And somehow you're still always late.
I'm still always late. I give a notice. I give a heads up. But it's in my blood. It's a Vernie curse.
It's in your blood bad.
Bad.
It's like your whole family.
But
I know y'all listening, so.
It's an in-person thing. When it comes to like calls.
Oh, because they're so sporadic. You guys are on the phone all the time.
What do you mean?
Well, you guys are always on the phone with each other.
Who?
You and your family.
No. I'm talking about like if I have a meeting and it's a call or it's a Google Meet. I'm 5 minutes early.
I mean, because you don't gotta like,
I know.
you don't gotta leave the house. You don't have to like look at yourself 20 times in the mirror and second guess your outfit.
Well, it's also my OCD. I have to check the like my straighteners and flush.
God, this girl.
I have to check the back door. That's a whole. I'm serious. I got such bad OCD when it comes to leaving the house. Like, I check my straightener 10 times. I check the candles. Last night I was in bed. I was falling asleep, and I was like, "Did I leave the fridge open?" I went up and checked the fridge. I gotta check the bathroom sink a bunch of times. I gotta close the back door 10 times, especially if I'm home alone. It's a thing. It's a process.
You know, the other day when I left your house and Josh wasn't home, I got here and I was like, oh, did Kaylee lock the door? Because I was like, she didn't get up and leave with me. But then you called me to tell me I forgot something.
I'm good with that stuff. It's like the locking the door, the like normal close down. I get in my head thinking, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah. I mean, leaving the house with you is a bitch.
I love when, like, if Josh checks it and he closes the back door, I'm good. I don't need to have control. But if I'm in control, I don't trust myself.
Yeah.
So it's a work in progress, but award received, rightfully so. 2025, I'm coming for you, though.
Yeah, she gonna leave 2 hours early.
But I told you the next day after that party, I worked Saturday morning. I intentionally showed up to work 5 minutes early. I was there.
She a mess, y'all. She a mess.
I thought I would arrive 15 minutes early, so I guess, like, it equals out.
You know what? Maybe the thing is, like, we should check all your clocks. You know what? Do they all say the same time?
The time in my house is 2 minutes earlier than the time in my car. But
that is supposed to help you, but
it's the dogs.
Maybe we need to pull a New Year's and turn the clocks a little forward.
I think so.
Yeah.
Like Uncle Bob.
Okay. I'm calling out Uncle Bob on here.
Uncle Bob.
It's fine. He ain't listening.
He ain't listening. That's another podcast.
Yeah, that we'll get to in a couple weeks. You know, New Year's is coming up. We'll have some memories.
How was your weekend?
It was good, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I had to like get together with some people that I don't really, want to.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, because you hung out with me.
I went to one of the holiday parties with Kaylee.
Yeah, we had two.
So and Corinne, I know you're listening. It was totally a joke. Totally a joke.
That's fine. He was talking about me, Corinne.
Yeah, I was talking about. I don't want to be with her at all.
Bitch.
Shut up. You set yourself up for that. So yeah, I went to a holiday party with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to tell us about it?
It was great as well. 2 back-to-back holiday parties. I mean, come on, Kaylee getting out of the house 2 nights in a row. That's
never seen that before.
What do you want to know?
Well, this is what I will say. Kaylee turns into like this little marketing busy bee over here. We had to tell everyone about this podcast, get into like logistics. Mm-hmm. There was so much talk. I was like, damn, these people probably think we're full of ourselves.
No, they loved it. They were like, you should be investigative reporter.
Yeah. Well, because, we were trying to find out that one guy's age, which I still have not found out. I got to follow up with it.
We have to follow up. Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot about that. You know what it was? I needed my computer.
Right.
I do better work on the computer than on my phone. Yeah. You remember his name?
Yeah.
Yep, I do too.
I'm not saying it on the podcast.
Well, not on the podcast, but...
Side note, if you have anyone you want us to look into, if you have like an ex, if you want to find info about crazy ex-mother-in-law...
Why would you care about a crazy ex-mother-in-law?
Crazy current mother-in-law?
Yeah, you trying to get dirt on your mother-in-law?
Let us know. We'll tell you her zip code, her social, her area code.
I'm sure they know the zip code and the area code. You gotta get better at other things.
This is our last podcast.
Yeah, because you need to, I'll tell you who she lost her virginity to or something.
No,
that type of stuff. What song was playing in the background? Not her zip code. Girl, I can tell you anybody's zip code on here. The podcast gives us statistics and tells us zip codes, okay?
Okay, it was a bad example.
Good Lord.
This fucking man.
Don't be...
Boy.
I'm a man.
Finn.
I'm a real boy.
Yeah. Pinocchio. Nose growing over here. Because I got a
So you
pick
saying
on-
I got a big nose?
No. But I do have a bone to pick with you.
What?
And we'll talk about it later.
Okay, fine.
Because
You always have a bone to pick.
I have multiple bones to always pick with you.
Is Finny okay? He's making a loud noise. He's got the shakes right now.
It's a little itchy.
Well, Finny, please be quiet, sir. Yeah, so yeah, party was good. Kaylee was social, what's that called?
I was a social bladder.
She was networking.
I was.
Yeah. It was good.
It was good. Food was great. Yeah, food was great 2 nights in a row. But Saturday's potatoes.
The potatoes and the fried chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So good.
That's the way to get me somewhere.
Fried chicken?
Good food.
The food.
Good food.
I agree.
If I come somewhere and the food is not good, I'm going to be a little like, I gotta go. I gotta go. Where's the nearest McDonald's?
I always know.
What the nearest McDonald's is?
Don't say anything, y'all. I hear your voices.
You hear their voices or my voice?
Both.
So there is, I do have a question for you.
Okay.
What are you going to do now in life?
What do you mean?
Well, it's like, happening or may happen or like increased chances of it happening where now TikTok is getting banned. What are you going to do?
I don't know.
You might be the most productive person in the world now.
Bitch, I'm productive. This motherfucker, I swear to God, at the end of this episode,
what?
I'm going to read
what
you for fucking Phil.
You do that anyway.
Literally yesterday, I called you. What are you doing? You were like, well, I've been on the couch for the past 2.5 hours scrolling through TikTok, so I don't
first
fucking
off,
hear it.
Yesterday was my
day off, too.
Day off.
Yeah, it was my day off, too.
How many times last week did you have to leave your house for work?
I don't know.
Don't turn this into, I'll turn it into a competition.
Oh, bitch.
Girl. Mm-mm.
Boy.
Anyway, okay, we have one veg day.
I know.
I'm just saying, you're going to have to be a lot more like...
Fucking rednecks.
I don't understand why I gotta live so close to the street. Tell me you have a small dick without telling me you have a small dick. You know what? That's the worst at like 12 o'clock at night. I hope y'all could hear all of that because it was insane.
They couldn't.
If you couldn't, though, the revs of that car that just drove by were so dumb. So dumb. Small dick energy.
Don't even get me started with the flags on the back of the trucks.
Well, those people, I don't know.
It's like micropenis.com.
Or just like, we can't get into that. Girl. I have nothing nice to say. So,
Same.
Yeah. Ooh, all right. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on this TikTok ban?
I think it's fucked up. I think it's bullshit. I think it's stupid. I think it's censorship. I think a lot about it. I do want to become a bit more educated about it. Just like in terms of reading, just like more like legal stuff behind it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's infuriating. It's annoying. And do I use TikTok too much? Abso-fucking-lutely. I do. It's like one of my let me relax type scroll, like brain rot type things. So like it has its pros and its cons in my life. But I think it holds a lot of pros for a lot of people. I think that TikTok is a really good source for a lot of things. I think some people can use it not so great, but I think generally speaking, it is used as a news source. It's used as a source for serotonin. It's used for creativity. It's used for showcasing small businesses. Like I can go on and on with what it can be used for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's used for entertainment. It's used for marketing. It's used for sponsorships. It's used for advertising. It's used for expressing your creativity and your individualism. What? I'm ranting. I don't know where I just went.
Yeah, girl, you were going. You were going.
So yeah, I went on a rant because I think it's fucking bullshit. It's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I agree. It's like, I think I agree with you on the like needing to understand more of the like the legal stuff of it. Because
Right.
if it's like, oh, they're like stealing data or like that stuff, like that I understand. But I don't know. Isn't it also, I don't know. The whole thing for me, I'm just like, I get part of it. But then I'm just like, all right, well, can someone like make a new one, you know? Like,
right.
what's stop, you know?
But
The whole thing is weird because what is it? They want to, and I don't want to get this wrong and offend anyone.
Yeah.
But aren't they saying the owner is Chinese, but he's actually Vietnamese? Isn't that the case?
Correct. Yes.
And so it's like, oh, China, China, China. But like, I don't know. This is from like months ago when this first all came up.
Right. And I don't want to correct me if I'm wrong. This isn't a fact. This is just what I understand. But they want it to be sold to a non-Chinese owned company.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or owner.
I think, but for me, it doesn't make sense because it's like, he's Vietnamese though. Like,
right.
I don't know. It's weird. Maybe there's like holdings in China and stuff like that. I don't know. The whole thing is weird for me. And there's also a lot of other stuff that I'm just like, the timing of all this is
right.
Everything just seems weird to me.
And I'd like to understand, again, this is me being uneducated in this area, but I would like to understand, what does Instagram have that TikTok doesn't? Like, is there a different level of security that Instagram has? Like, why is Instagram okay? Because
Instagram is owned by an American company, isn't it?
It is, but that's what I'm saying. Other than it being owned by an American company, is there another difference that they're using?
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying.
Because a lot of TikTok Reels, for example, that I'll see are also on Instagram.
Yeah.
So if I'm seeing the same footage or coverage or stories or Reels, whatever, however you want to call it, on Instagram that are posted on TikTok, then what's the difference?
Yeah, I'm sure there's some like wizard computer person out there that like knows way more about that, but I agree with that because it's like I feel like most people nowadays are using a third party like video thing to create their videos
and then post it on all platforms.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I guess in terms of like, and maybe this is me supporting the ban of the case, but like, you know, like we always like joke around like our phones are listening to us, or like we Google something and then we see it on TikTok nonstop. Like maybe it's that stuff. But
I will say, when I Google stuff and I see stuff, or when I Google things or I talk about things, when I see ads for them, I see it on Facebook and Instagram. I don't see it on TikTok. I find that more of a problem with Facebook and Instagram than I do TikTok.
Okay. I could agree with that.
You know? Yeah. I also, it feels a little shady when the ban's going in place.
Before we jump into that. So this is my other thing with this is like, we're so worried about TikTok, and it's like, let's just look at like domestic stuff. Like, you guys are now like thinking international. Like, let's just talk domestic. And I might get a little political here, and I don't really give a fuck actually. But it's like, we got like Elon Musk now over here, super duper involved. Like, what? I don't know. It's like that. The whole thing is like,
but he's also like anti-censorship. Elon Musk. That was a big thing with him buying Twitter.
Which
X,
Twitter now sucks.
Whatever you want to call it, but he didn't want voices to be censored. I'm sorry, but the ban of TikTok, I feel like that's censoring.
It's
some voices.
I understand I can understand the support for that statement.
You know, not in its entirety, but I feel like there are certain, I touched on this with my whole rant where I talked about like news coverage and one thing that I personally find TikTok useful for, and I use TikTok for, is news coverage. I'm not someone who's typically putting on a news channel or always Googling. I mean, I will Google some news stories, but it's usually after I find out about them on a platform like TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we're getting a lot more like raw coverage and footage of news,
Mm-hmm.
where historically we're used to things coming from a little bit more of like a censored standpoint, but also from a certain voice, from a certain, if it's coming from a certain news channel, it has like a whole, it's depicted in that specific news channel's way.
Like their demographic and
Their demographic,
like a
who they
Fox
are.
versus like a MSNBC type thing.
It's they're all on their own font.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Where I feel like TikTok is a little bit more raw. It could be. It's not always, but it could be.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I find out about a lot of news stories, news coverage, and this could be like small stories, it could be global stories, it could be nationwide stories. But I feel like I find out a lot of that on TikTok. And that's where I'm like, oh, I kind of feel like that losing that is going to make it so a lot of people don't know as much as what they know about now that's going on in the world.
Well, because I feel like a lot of the stuff that you see on TikTok is things that you wouldn't see covered by a news organization or like a big organization.
Unless you're searching for it. Like it could be technically covered by the news organization, but it's not on the front page. It's not constantly covered on the news channel. It could be something they covered, but it's like a small story. Whereas on TikTok, I feel like it's actually a big story, so it's trending, but some other news channels and some other reporters are kind of pushing it down a little bit to make it seem a little bit more smaller.
So when I'm saying like things that aren't covered, I'm thinking like, and this is just like stuff that's like relevant to me, is like trans people being murdered, or like homophobic, like people beating up gays, or like LGBTQ people, like that type stuff, where it's like, you might get that on a thing, but like you really.
But it's not like, what I was trying to say too is maybe some channels cover it, but they don't push it as much. Or it's not with TikTok. I don't know how many subscribers there are, but it's putting it on the For You page for millions upon millions of people.
I don't even think it's so much of the like degree to which it is these fucking drugs. I don't think it's the degree to which the story is like it. Okay, if you're looking at something in like a news sense, it is a handful of news organizations, where on TikTok you could have this one thing and there are thousands of videos made on it from different perspectives, different information. That's where it's like, when you don't have that anymore, and if you were to solely rely on news sources, you're getting what they put out there, and that's it.
You're not getting another interpretation. You're not getting another perspective.
Yeah.
And to your point, you're getting it from that news coverage or that news channel and maybe a couple other. But when it comes to a source like TikTok, you can get it from thousands, even hundreds of thousands of people reposting, analyzing it, explaining it in their own words, stitching it. Like, there's so many other forms of coverage, because it could be something where, it was originally posted or a story from CNN, but then these TikTok users are reposting it and explaining it from their own view. So then it's just reaching so many more people versus the reach that it would have if it was purely based on you just following that news source.
Which I do have to say this really quickly is that obviously, because people are like, there might be people listening that are thinking like, well, you guys are dumb because you're just listening to everything that you're hearing. And it's like, there are always the cases where like people are putting out misinformation or like have an agenda behind what they are posting in terms of their like interpretation of the information. So it's like not saying that there's when information comes out, it's like, oh, this is all this additional information that we wouldn't have gotten from a news source and it's all true, because that's not the case.
I agree. I think to expand on what you just said, I'm not saying that any story I see on TikTok, I'm like, oh, that's facts. It's true. It's coming from TikTok. It's a reliable source. No. I just think we're getting a lot more information about it. Does that mean you have to filter through it to see is this someone's pure opinion, or is this evidence-based, or like is this someone just retelling the story? Like you do still have to do work to determine like, is this factual? Is this credible? Like, where's this coming from? But it's just giving it to you as a view from multiple angles versus being very linear. Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing, like going back to the news thing, like I don't watch the news. I find the news depressing. So like I don't watch the news. I used to listen to like stuff on my way to work, like podcasts that have like daily news stuff. Even that, like what annoys me about news stations today is that they're always somehow affiliated in like a political way.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, I don't want, because listen, like regardless who I vote for, all that stuff, what I believe, I don't want that. Like I want the information. I don't want your like bias about everything. And I think that's the thing with TikTok, where it's like, and maybe this is a generational thing where like I feel like we have a lot more information and ability to find information on at our disposal through TikTok, where like someone like my parents they wouldn't feel the same way. Like if I look at it in the sense of like my parents, like I'm gonna probably say my parents get most of their information from Facebook.
Right.
They might watch the news. I don't know. I don't want to say for sure. They might read like newspaper stuff. I don't want to say for sure. But I do know that there is a lot of information that my parents get from Facebook.
From social.
And sometimes they say the stuff. And I'm like, this is suspicious.
Did you check your source? Is this accurate?
So it's like that stuff where, I don't know. I think the idea of, and clearly I think the big part of us talking about TikTok getting banned today is kind of like this limiting of information.
Yeah, limiting of information, limiting of resources. Again, it's going back to what you said with your parents with Facebook. We're not the people who are going to say, I saw it on TikTok, it must be true. No way. That's not what we're getting at. It's just, I think,
my parents might. I love you, but they might.
Our boomers might.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's taking away kind of like behind the scenes coverage. That's always what I associate with TikTok. Like, there's resharing and reposting of actual news stories and someone putting their own, it could be their own twist, which isn't always great, but it could be them putting their own perspective. But it's also sometimes people posting like, I live here, I saw that happen, or no, I'm friends with the person that happened to. And it's just a little bit more inside, behind the scenes, connected. And as viewers, we definitely do have to do our due diligence to ensure we're not repeating something of, this is factual because I saw this one video about it.
Yeah.
Definitely. But it does feel, I don't know, I think it's strange. I think it's fishy. And I find it interesting as to why they want to ban it. And I do not believe that the reason they want to ban it is purely because it's a Chinese-owned company. Correct me if I'm wrong. If there's other reasons, please let us know.
But also, we will do do this work ourselves,
of course,
as well.
But just I'm not asking you to tell me without doing the research. But from our preliminary research as to why we talked about this, that's what we found. But it just feels a little unsettling.
Yeah, I think, and I mean, I think we agreed pretty early on in like doing this podcast that we weren't going to get like political and all that. But like, I do, and we talked about this the other day. There was this TikTok, and it was this guy, and he's like, so I just find it really funny that like TikTok's getting banned, and it's getting banned on January 19th, which is the day before the inauguration. I don't know why I stumbled on that word. And like, it's a place that like most people use to get information and news and coverage, both like nationally and internationally. Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of weird that this is when this is all happening. Yeah. And I agree with that. Like, regardless of like who you voted for and all that stuff, it's just, it like when you think about that stuff, because honestly, I don't know how much I really trust the government as a whole. Mm-hmm. I don't think the intentions are always the best for the actual country. But I just think it's suspicious regardless of which side of the aisle you might be on, or if you're in the aisle at all.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very weird to me. And listen, they're still trying to fight the ban and do what they can.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't know. I don't really know, because didn't this happen once before with an app? I feel like years ago this happened with...
Wasn't it like Facebook and Instagram?
Oh, no. You know what I'm thinking of? Vine. I don't remember the story about Vine, but I remember like they stopped Vine, and like eventually it just stopped working. Mm-hmm. It was like it got like deleted off your phone, and like the servers no longer were there. Like, I don't know the premise behind Vine, because Vine was like years ago. Also, RIP Vine. But I don't know. I feel like it actually might go through, and that at that point it's like, well, now what do we rely on?
The reason I don't think it's going to go through is the amount of money companies are making right now off of TikTok. When it comes to sponsorships, when it comes to the amount of content creators that are promoting and advertising companies nationwide, whether it's clothing, whether it's beauty, whether it's fashion, whether like so many things. I mean, I can think of a million things and I can't repeat them right now. Mm-hmm. But there are so many businesses in the world right now banking on sales coming from content creators advertising on their behalf on TikTok.
Mm-hmm. So you think that those companies will...
Mm-hmm. I think something along those lines. I don't know, but I think it's going to definitely affect profit and revenue for companies across the board.
I get that. It's also like, yeah, there's a lot going through my head right now on stuff I think about, specifically like products and stuff that you see on TikTok.
And I don't mean TikTok shop. That's like one thing.
But like even like people making videos with...
Oh, I can talk about that
like,
too.
You know, like that type, because is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
the sponsorship of like...
Yeah, I'm talking about...
Here's this fucking Dove chocolate bar.
Exactly.
Make a video, you know.
Like, Maybelline makeup. Yeah. Or the new Hilera clothing line, or... Yeah, things of that nature.
Yeah.
It could be food products as well, but a lot of those companies are putting money to receive money back into advertisement that way. That's like the new form of advertisement.
Yeah. Okay. I get that.
A new form of advertisement.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say though, like hypothetically, or it happens, TikTok is done. What then becomes your... Like, part of me is like, oh, like Instagram Reels will just No, but I'm saying like what would your go-to be? Because like I have the same thing where like TikTok is my go-to for these things. Instagram for me,
Probably
not so
Instagram.
much because it's like
But I think Instagram will just then become TikTok.
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like TikTok is such a chokehold on people right now.
Mhm.
I don't think that style of social media is going to vanish.
Correct.
Could it be more censored? And maybe that's what they're trying to do with banning it. Yeah.
I don't yeah,
But
I
I
don't think it's the
mean,
censor thing. I think it's the the like stealing of information thing. I don't read it so much as a censorship issue. I think it's the like because of the quote unquote Chinese.
the security.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Could it be more limited? Maybe. I don't know. But I just see another platform taking over the framework of TikTok.
Yeah, which honestly, we should have just been like computer like coding people.
Mm-mm.
Could you imagine we made something like TikTok?
My brain don't work that way.
I know. I mean, mine does actually.
It does.
Mine does.
Mine
Mine
doesn't.
works in like numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine works in numbers, but not in coding and technology. Like, give me a spreadsheet and let me do math.
Mhm.
Like, fuck 1,000%. But outside of that, no, thank you.
Yeah. No, I'm like,
I know.
I should have. I always see those. It's funny. I always see those TikToks that are like, if you just took a 6-week course, you could be coding, working 2 hours a day from home. And I'm like,
God damn it.
what am I doing? What am I doing? Yeah. So, but okay. Yeah.
So one thing I've been thinking about with like TikTok and the way, because we were talking about news and like, you know,
Mhm.
learning about news coverage globally, nationally, internationally, etc. I actually did a project when I was in college. So this is going back to like 2013, 2014. So 10 years ago.
Okay, shut up.
We're old. And what we were talking about was how you receive your news. So we were talking about like news channels. So again, going back, Fox, MSNBC, CNN, etc., all the news shows. But the premise of the project was talking about how there are a lot of satire news shows. For example, we were using Bill Maher, and we were talking about Jon Stewart with The Daily Show. And we were talking about their show, so Real Time with Bill Maher, The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, and how even though they could be seen as like satire based because they do use a lot of comedy with certain parts of their show, but that it was a real good source, at least for like my and our generation, of getting news, because even though there was satire to it, there was comedy to it, it was a lot more kind of to the point. Like both of them do have political affiliations and have their perspectives and have their opinions, but it was a lot more raw with how it was depicted and how it was explained versus having like a strong voice in one narrative of one affiliation of how it's produced or how it's laid out to the viewers. It was much more to the point. Again, I will acknowledge that there were still opinions, of course, but I felt like it was so much more raw and so much more informative at the end of the day. And that was what my project was based on, is that a lot of my classmates and my demographic and my age in particular and generation was going to those news sources to get their information and going to those shows to find out more of what's going on versus going to those news channels, which I felt like was a little bit more of what the generation above us was doing.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're in a similar scenario now where that's what the generation below us and still our generation is using. But I feel like TikTok is more used by, let's say, Gen Z.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like they're heavily eating their news source, as are we, which we explained a lot of this episode. But I just found that like interesting in that correlation to be a good example as to this not being the first time that a younger group of people have tried to find a different source of learning what's going on in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's like, I do feel like, especially like clips of those shows, like I see those a lot on like YouTube and stuff. Like I feel like I use YouTube a lot. And so I feel like that stuff gets put a lot on YouTube. I didn't say any of that right, so sorry, y'all. But you know what I'm saying. And then it's like, it's the same thing. And I think that's a thing about like the TikTok and like the day we live in, where like, I don't just want to listen to the news and have it tell me what it's got to tell me. Like on TikTok, you can like see similar videos. On YouTube, it will like bring up more stuff about that. And you can go through and just like get that. And it seems to be sometimes people are like, oh, well, you guys have so much. And it's like, well, I'm sorry. You told all of us to fucking cite our sources on all of our goddamn papers in high school and college. What did you expect? Like, we had to put the work in then. What do you think? We're just going to stop now? Like, get out of here.
I know.
It's so, yeah. I don't know. I think, yeah. For me, I hope that TikTok doesn't get banned for multiple reasons. But for the sense of like news and seeing stuff.
Yeah.
I think it is probably like one of the most valuable sources of information in today's age.
I agree.
And it's like, I don't like the idea that it's
on the chopping block.
Yeah, like, I don't know. So who knows? Maybe they'll sell, you know, there's all that stuff where like, oh, if you sell to a non-Chinese owner and blah, 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 blah. Like, yeah. So I don't know. We'll see.
I guess we got some work to do on our hands.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go. Can't you like save videos from TikTok? I'm going to have to just go buy a new.
I know.
I'm going to just put all the videos on my, what's that thing I have called?
Hard drive?
Yeah. All right, just scrolling for them.
My square box.
Yeah. What's that trend that is like who's the
the Like a Prayer.
Yes.
What is he from? Is it Sesame Street?
I would assume he's
I think
Sesame
so.
Street. It just looks like a Sesame Street character. I can't get my mic right. Yeah. They're
Obsessed.
So good.
Obsessed. If you haven't seen them.
Also the whole premise behind that song and like the church singing it, and it's like, do you know what you're singing?
Do you know what it's about?
Yeah, no, that one.
I saw so many funny ones too. Oh my god.
Normally though, when my TikTok is like consistently over and over and over and over the same exact trend.
Yeah.
You know, like when it used to be like a lot of dances and stuff. And every time you scroll, it was the same song, all that. This is the one that I can get with, where it's just like consistently
keep coming.
Give me those. There's so many good ones.
I know.
Yeah.
If you don't know about the trend, look it up. Look up Olive Oil Like a Prayer. That's like one of my favorite ones that came out. The story. It's so fucking funny.
You want to tell us?
No, you got to watch it.
Girl,
no, because I don't want to ruin it. I do want to tell you, but I know my explanation is going to botch the shit out of it.
Okay.
And I want you to experience it without having any information for the first time.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I still haven't watched it. I only know from what you told me, so I still have to go watch it.
It's so funny. They're all like hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, such good ones.
But my dyslexia fucking picks up with that video because there's a lot of text on the videos. You'll see if you watch one. But the song's playing in the background. Mm-hmm. So I always have to like pause the song so I can read the slides because I'm like my fucking brain doesn't.
So people need to learn to use like better fonts with colors, things that don't blend into the video. No. That shit always pisses me off. I'm like, what? I don't know.
I'm like,
Yeah. Boy. Well, all right, y'all. I think it's time to wrap this baby up and
say goodbye.
Say so long,
farewell to you, my friend.
Oh my. Okay, you're. I was going with Sound of Music. You were going with Out of the Box. Yo, Out of the Box. That song.
That shit slapped.
My favorite part.
Oh my god.
Oh, I'm gonna look that up. You know, sometimes you get those.
Yeah.
I'm gonna YouTube it when you leave. All right, y'all.
All right, guys.
That's what we got for you. Tune in next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Call in. What did I used to say?
Call in.
Call us crying.
Call us crying.
We'll call you next week. Something like that.
Next week.
We'll call you next week, sweetheart.
We gotcha.
All right.
Do your spiel.
Do I have to?
No.
Okay, good. Because I didn't want
much.
to. Yeah.
Y'all know. Go back to another episode.
Yeah.
Listen if you need to know.
Look at the
Read a
description and the bio, all that stuff. You guys know. You know.
We've been talking a lot.
I'm tired, old man. I need a nap.
Yeah, same.
Boy. All right.
All right. Bye, bitches.
Bye.